Action.
Psych! Alright, what's up guys? Your boy Mine2500 here coming to you guys with another tip video. My first tip video in the channel. Thank you guys for all the views and all the thumbs up that I got in my other videos and the comments that I got also. So I'm going to keep coming with more content for Yugioh, and hope you guys actually enjoy it. If you guys want to see something different than Yugioh, you guys want to see some gameplay that I have on Modern Warfare 3, I have a link in the description of my other channel, Snowman6986. You guys can actually watch me play some Modern Warfare 3, and not just that, other games as well. But don't worry about that for now. Let's get right to the first tip video. And the first tip video I'm going to give you guys is about deck building. How to actually build a proper deck and the ingredients that goes inside the deck. The first thing will be you gotta have cards. You know, you gotta have that. That's the first stupid thing. The second thing is make sure you have a theme. The theme will be pretty much anything that you want to make it up. You guys want to make it as Batterymans, X-Sabers, Lifesworns, Teledad, Wind-Ups, Injectors, pretty much anything that's a theme. Archetype or something that goes around it, because right now, like Quick Draw plants, that's not really a archetype, it's not a theme. But actually it's a theme, but it's not an archetype. Archetype is pretty much something like X-Sabers. X-Sabers are archetype because you have a lot of monsters that have the same name. That Wind-Ups, Injectors, those are all archetypes. What's not an archetype is like Teledad. Teledad is not an archetype because it's a bunch of cards that work together really good to make a proper deck. So that's the difference between archetype and non-archetype. But yeah, so you want to have your deck, make sure you have your deck at 40 or 42. Never have it anything more than that. The reason being is you want to make sure you're drawing to your cards right away and not stall the game up because you're waiting for that one card and you can't draw it because you're running a 60 card deck, which is stupid. I've seen a lot of people do this, and you guys gotta really stop. If you guys want to up your game from just a local player winning that local or losing that local, and you want to start winning your local or start going to regionals and at least the top 32 or top 8, start going to YCS in top 8, listen to this video. These tips will help you out in making the proper deck. I will definitely have more videos out there for you guys of more tips, alright? So we got that. So you got your theme, you gotta have cards of course, and you gotta have at least 40 or 42. The first thing that goes into a deck is a boss monster. So when you find out your theme, find out what your boss monster is. For X-Sabers, you got Fultro. Fultro is pretty much the boss monster. A boss monster is pretty much a card that all the other cards help out. It's the big beater, the big chalupa, the big pizza. Large pepperoni pizza, that's what the hell it is, alright? So pretty much you got the big guy that just does everything. Fultro, you got Dark Arm, you got BLS, you got Judgment Dragon, you got Chaos Sorcerer, you got a lot of other crazy shit that I don't know about right now because, again, I just got back into the game, so I'm still learning everything. But you got those guys as your big boss monsters. Those are the big beaters. Those are the guys that actually does the job to help you win the game. So also the small guys too, the little recruiters and searchers and stuff like that. But your boss monsters, you always want to have them. You never want to have more than 3 or 4. My opinion is have 3, never more than that. The reason being is the boss monsters are pretty much monsters that they have specific ways of coming out. Like right now, you gotta have 2 X-Sabers to face up in the field to get him out. So if you're running 3 of him and 3 more boss monsters, that you gotta have certain things for them to come out, it's gonna be hard to try to get those guys out if you constantly draw them. So you want to make sure you have a limit of actually 4 to 3. My personal preference is 3. So yeah. So you got your boss monster. After that, you want to make sure you have your recruiters. Pretty much it's your support for your boss monster. It helps get the boss monster out. And for X-Sabers, you got X-Saber Ember's Blade, and you got Giant Rat. Those are not the only recruiters. You got Pyramid Turtle, Missy Tomato, you got Tour Guide of the Underworld, you got Bulgar Knight. So recruiters are pretty much the monsters that when they're destroyed, another one replaces it. They actually search out for another monster. So pretty much when they go down, another soldier comes up. You know what I mean? So a recruiter is pretty much just it goes out, but it's gonna send someone in for its replacement. So those are recruiters. You always want to have those in the deck. They're very important just because they keep the flow of your monsters keep coming into the deck. Another thing that you want to have searchers. Searchers are like, for X-Sabers, you got Dark Soul, you got Sangan, you got Stratos, you got Witch of the Black Forest, which is banned, but still that's an example. Those are pretty much your searchers. Searchers are pretty much, like I said, it's searchers. They actually get you monsters into your hand, pretty much into your hand. They search out another card in the deck for you to add to your hand. Now, they're just not monsters. There are actually magic and trap cards, like Charge of the Light Brigade searches, Reinforcement of the Army searches. I'm pretty sure some other cards too. I just can't remember them right now. But you got other cards, and you got trap cards also that also searches from your deck to your hand or your graveyard to your hand. So those are searchers. You also need tech cards. Tech cards are very important. The reason being tech cards are important is tech card is a card. It's a tech card or a power card, whichever way you guys want to call it. It's pretty much a card that is different from everybody. Like right now, let's say you got X-Sabers and you want to run Thunder King. Thunder King was a tech card because it was help you get the advantage over your opponent, so they couldn't search out with their duality or their Dark Souls. So it gave you a slight advantage, so you could also negate their Fultro, their boss monster, their synchros when they try to go Hanli. So pretty much Thunder King will be a tech card in a X-Saber deck. Those are pretty much tech cards. Those are important because they actually give you a little bit slight advantage over your opponent if you guys are playing mirror match. So you might have a better advantage, but you have a stronger card in your deck. So yeah, so you want to make sure you have those. Another thing you want to have, which is big right now in a lot of decks, is hand traps. I don't have Effect Veiler or Maxi, but Effect Veiler, Maxi, DD Crow, Puppet Plant, Trigodia, Gores, those are hand traps. Hand traps are pretty much cards that you can activate from the hand, that are monsters that you can activate from the hand. They're pretty much trap cards because you actually make your opponent do what you want them to do, and you trap them. You got them. Like Effect Veiler. If you go summon Dark Arm and you go, okay, remove, you go Effect Veiler. You say, aha, you can't do it. You just trapped him pretty much. So those are hand traps. They're very important, especially in this format, from my understanding, because there's a lot of monsters out there that actually do a lot of effects, and there's a lot of special summoning with XCs and everything. So Maxi and Effect Veiler is a very, very top card right now. Gores is also a good card because you make your opponent attack you, and you get to special summon a big monster in the field. He's not a boss monster. He's actually a hand trap monster. Just because he's a big beater doesn't consider him a boss monster. But yeah, those are your hand traps. You want to have staples. Your staples are the cards that are in every deck: Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Giant Trunade, MSTs, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Mirror Force. Those are all pretty much staple cards. Just so you always want to make sure you have those inside the deck, because those are the cards that should be in every deck, and they are in every deck. Next thing you want to have is support. You want to have your magic support and your trap support. The reason being is because without the magic or trap cards, the deck won't run right. You know what I mean? You gotta have a certain amount of magic and trap cards inside the deck. Those are my opinions, because you can't run the whole deck on monsters. You gotta have your magic and trap for support, to help your monsters out, to make sure you get special summon, make sure they get protected from other magic and trap cards, and stuff like that. My last thing will be is the choice of monsters. When you're running the deck, you want to have at least monsters of 18 to 22. 18 to 22, actually 21, sorry. 18 to 21. You don't want to have any more than that, unless you're playing Lightsworns. And unless you're playing heroes too, because every deck is different. Like heroes, you play like with 14 or 15 monsters. Like anti-meta decks, you play with about like 12 to like 15 monsters in anti-meta decks. In Lightsworn decks, you play with 22 to like 25 monsters, or 26 monsters even, or 27. I used to play with 27 monsters. In X-Saber deck, you want to play with at least like 18 or 20 monsters. The reason being is just because you want to have a good flow, depending on the deck that you're actually playing, you want to have a good flow of monsters running inside the deck. Magic cards, you want to have at least 10 to 13 magic cards. For your trap cards, you want to have from either 8 to like 10. Some decks run a little bit less, like Frog Monarchs don't run any at all, and they run more monsters than magic. So like they'll run like 12 magics and like the rest are just monsters, 28 monsters, whatever. But it's because they need all those monsters to get the flow started. When Frog, not Frog, yeah, I think it was Frog OTK, whatever, FTK, OTK, whatever, you know, you had no trap cards. You have more monsters and magics. So from trap cards, you always want to, depending on the deck you're building, if you're doing like a Royal Decree kind of deck, you want to have just your 3 Royal Decrees and the rest magic and monsters. So that's the ingredients for a perfect deck. Remember, every deck is not perfect. They always have their flaws. Just because you never draw into a perfect hand, when you guys do draw into a perfect hand, everything goes good. And when you don't, everything's a little bit harder because you gotta try to now make sure you could win with that bad hand that you have. So yeah, that's my tip for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I try to make it as fast as possible because I don't want to make it too long. And thank you guys for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and check out my gaming channel as well. Peace out.